With its diesel engine rumbling, the Laurentian treks out onto Lake Michigan to gather more evidence on how the changing environment in the lake is affecting its fish. This is a research boat operated by NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
We're trying to understand how the quagga and zebra mussels, filtration of the water and depletion of the phytoplankton has affected the food for larval fish.
As they drag large plankton nets through the water, capturing samples of larval fish, they also pull in another threat to the lake's ecosystem, the spiny water flea.
That's another unintended consequence of the zebra mussel invasion, the quagga mussels. They clear the water up so much that these guys are visual predators, so now they're better able to see the native zooplankton and feed on them.
The Laurentian also drags a trowel along the bottom of the lake, scraping up samples of quagga to study in their lab. Quagga mussels now cover the floor of Lake Michigan like a carpet, even in its deepest sections.
Oh, we're gonna bring it in, Steve. It's quite a haul. And a beer can, look at that.
This is just an old beer can, but zebra and quagga mussels have what's called byssal threads that stick like glue to any hard surface under the water.
The zebra mussels have this ability to attach, and I'll try to pull off one of the mussels here. You can see that it's pretty difficult for me to pull this off.
Byron Carnes is an aquatic biologist with the National Park Service. His territory includes the St. Croix National Scenic Riverway. The St. Croix is 252 miles long and separates Minnesota from Wisconsin. There are over 40 species of native mussels here. Many have been around for hundreds of years and live to be 40 to 80 years old. Some are on the verge of extinction.
One of the things about zebra mussels that was well understood in the early 1990s was how detrimental they could be to native mussels and other aquatic life.
23 miles of this river are infested with zebra mussels that, because of their byssal threads, pose a deadly threat to the native mussels.
This is a Higgins eye mussel, which is an endangered species, with the invasive zebra mussels on it.
That native mussel is going to have an incredibly hard time opening and closing its shell, being able to breathe or reproduce or move up and down in the sand like it needs to survive. And that's eventually what's going to cause that mussel to decline, to die, to certainly not do very well.
Zebra and quagga mussels are sticking to other things too.
So if you take a look at a pipe that mussels have entered, now you've got a problem.
Industrial pipes and machinery often get clogged with massive amounts of these invasive species.
Right now it's probably between 15 and 20 million a year to control them at the pipes.
If you're turning on your water, you're turning on your lights, using electricity, basically we're paying for that in one way or another.
The use of toxic chemicals are needed to control mussels, but that may be changing.
See this? This mixture represents the first environmentally safe option for zebra and quagga mussel control in North America, and our lab discovered it.
At the end of this narrow road in upstate New York are a series of white buildings in the middle of the woods. Inside, some of the world's most important research is being done to find ways to control zebra and quagga mussel populations. This is the research department of the New York State Museum, or as research scientist Dan Malloy likes to call it, the little lab in the woods. After 20 years of painstaking research, his team of scientists have discovered a bacterium that's deadly to quagga and zebra mussels, but apparently harmless to the rest of the environment.
We looked at little microbes in the environment, which, by serendipity, if they're eaten by the pest, will kill the pest. That was the early 90s. Here we are, 2010, and that dream has come true.
A commercial company in California is marketing the green formula under the name Zequinox.
So it's got an excellent environmental track record from our lab data. And now it's time to try it as in the real world, to actually control zebra and quagga mussels, not just little lab studies.
And there's more on the horizon for this lab. They've discovered a parasite that appears to attack only zebra and quagga mussels.
It literally eats away the interior connective tissue of the entire zebra mussel.
But it could be a while before the parasite is on its way to a lake near you.
Minimum of a decade. Why? Because that's how long it would take to do the kind of research to demonstrate its specificity to zebra mussels.
Potentially something down the line that might control them might be a good thing for this river. But for the time being, what we're trying to do is just gather as much data and information about the zebra mussels that are here that we possibly can, so that one day we can use that hopefully to defend against further spread.
Coming up, invasive mussels have found their way out west. Plus, what we can all do to help control the quagga invasion. Few things are more majestic than the birth of a new day on Lake Michigan. What's beautiful on the surface is not so pretty below. Zebra and quagga mussels are stealing the life out of the lake.
We know that yellow perch are in trouble in certain areas of the Great Lakes. Zebra mussels may be contributing to that. They may be contributing to the impacts on the whitefish population, and they may also be impacting the lake trout populations, especially in Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, as well as Lake Ontario.
The invasive species are said to have arrived in the Great Lakes from Europe aboard ocean-going ships. But thousands of our inland lakes and rivers have been infected too. And ironically, the blame goes to those who value the lakes the most. Recreational boaters and anglers who forgot or didn't know how to clean their boats when they moved from one body of water to another.
Because it only takes one idiot. And if one person makes the mistake or doesn't care and transports two or more of the animals, one of each gender, then it's over.
If lake water is left in your boat and it looks clean, don't be fooled.
When zebra mussels reproduce, they produce eggs that then are fertilized, and those fertilized eggs then hatch into larvae. Those larvae are virtually invisible to the naked eye. There's about 100 zebra mussel larvae in this vial.
Make sure that you don't move water of any kind from one body of water to another. That means the bait buckets and the live wells and anything else that might be contained in your vessel.
This is where the really important part is of the motor, because this is where the cooling water is then sucked into the motor to make sure that the motor has proper circulation, is cooled while in operation. Unfortunately, this motor was overheated and destroyed because up in this cooling system, zebra mussels have clogged the water intake.
Now, after 20 years of exploding populations in the Great Lakes region, the quagga and zebra mussels have migrated west.
The quagga mussel population was first found in Lake Mead in 2007 and quickly spread throughout the lower Colorado River system. It's moving upstream now in the Colorado. It's colonizing all the reservoirs. It's moving into reservoirs in Southern California.
As the zebra mussel begins to spread, across the Mississippi, into the west now, down in the Colorado River that feeds the aqueduct into California for drinking water for San Diego and Los Angeles, the costs are going to be in the billions.
And it's almost a more serious problem because water is moved so much in the west in aqueducts and other types of water conduits that now the West was fearing the invasion of zebra and quagga mussels. Starting in 2007, they realized they're here.
And now, zebra and quagga mussels can be found in 20 states and hundreds of inland lakes. They also inhabit 6 major rivers in the United States. They leave a path of destruction in their wake that includes ecology changes to the water and the loss of millions of dollars to industry. It's just a matter of time before these insidious creatures find their way into a lake near you.
If you see any of them as adults alive, you'll see many more of them soon.
You have to do things differently. And you just got to figure out how to survive with them, because you're not going to get rid of them.
And even though scientists at the New York Museum in Albany have found a substance that they hope will better control zebra and quagga mussels in the years ahead, the unfortunate reality will likely never change.
You got them in your lake, they will always be in your lake.
And hopefully in the meantime, there's not a new invader that comes in and changes the equation again.
One thing to remember about zebra and quagga mussel is that the larvae are small, microscopic. Leave a little water in your boat and you can transport thousands. To prevent the spread of these devastating invasive species, boaters and anglers must drain their boat before leaving the launch area. That includes your bilge, live well, and bait well if you have one, and the outboard's lower unit. And the best part, it's simple, and it only takes a few seconds.